Welcome back. This is when we're going to do our breakdown. It's kind of interesting. We did not have any mailbag questions, but we definitely do mailbag. So if you guys want to DM us on Instagram, unwarranted podcast, we'll answer some of the questions you guys have. But touching back to game three, Dennis, in this breakdown, as you alluded to, Luka having some struggles with the refs may or may not have cost them game three. So my question to you is, do you feel like Luka is to blame for their loss?
I would give Luka about 40% blame.
Hmm. Really?
I would give management 20% blame.
Management. Hmm.
Yeah. And I would give the rest of the team the other 40. Right. There's your 100. Right. You can't overly blame Luka. Realistically,
Thanks.
you can't overly blame him. He got his flaws,
Yeah,
but what is he, 20, 24, 25?
25. Yeah.
He'll be all right. He'll be back here. You know what I'm saying? He'll adjust. Just like Luka was like a lot fatter at first, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So like he'll adjust, he'll do what he gotta do, you know what I'm saying? But man, how does it look now that
Mm.
Michael Finley took that beer out of his hand after they had won the Western Conference final?
uh, I heard about that. I heard about that. I mean, I don't know. He's one of those players, man. I don't really think it matters one way or the other. Like,
Yeah,
because I
okay.
will say, no, I
You
really
ever
will say,
seen you ever seen Braun with a beer in his hand
hey, here's what I'll say
after a
about
playoff game?
here's what I'll say about Luca. His career trajectory is kind of interesting, right? Because he's lost at every next phase of his career. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it took him a while to get to the second round. He finally got to the second round, lost. It took him a while to get to the Western Conference Finals. He got to the Western Conference Finals against Golden State. He lost. It then took him another 2 years to get to the finals, and it looks like he's going to lose. You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily like Luka is in a good spot. I just think that Kyrie's leadership, Kyrie's leadership, man, it's not that I don't want to say it's disappointing to see, but in these games he's had, that's who I would put my blame on for this series. And I don't say that meaning like he gets 100% of the blame. It's kind of like you in that like 30, 40%, differential or not. Only because game two, that to me was the series. I said this after we broke down the game. To me, that was the series. And they say when a team doesn't win, they went on a roll. Well, you guys were down by what was it, like five or six or seven, like 8 minutes left to go in the game, and you guys did nothing to get closer to that. This every time you guys looked like you were going to do something, you didn't. Kyrie's having turnovers, and to me, it's like you're the leader. You cannot let your past woes against Boston. Uh, you can't let your past woes against Boston get into your head every time you're playing Boston at home. Like you got to make some phone calls to some players who dealt with that same um aggressiveness from the crowd. You need to place phone calls to those players and figure out what you need to do to mentally be ready for those games. Because had you had 35 in game one or game two, there is a strong chance that this series is 1-1
Yeah,
or
but
would
yeah,
have
he was
been
six for
1-1.
18 in those games.
You know what I'm saying? And again, you
Yeah.
lose by however much they lost in game two. I believe it was 7 points, something like that, 7, 8 points. You lose by that amount, and you only have what 16, 14 points or whatever it was, and you're on terrible shooting at that. So you
Yeah,
also
double that game three. So yeah,
you know
double
what I
that.
mean?
Yeah, they win game two,
And it's like,
clearly.
and Luca then having being in foul trouble, looking for fouls after these games or during these games, looking for fouls, costing your team like defensive possession. That third quarter, you're going down 35-19, had a lot to do with Luka not getting back on defense. Every time he didn't get back on defense, there was a 3-point play from Boston. I have an issue with that. You know what I'm saying? I don't blame Luca for that because this is his first time being in the finals and not knowing that like, hey, fouls are going to be called way more looser than they were all series leading up to this, all playoffs long and all regular season leading up to this moment. Kyrie, you know that. So when game three comes around and now you want to drop your 35 points that, yes, it was good, but now that you want to, then have your time to shine and not look for fouls or not look for anything, let your team know these things. Let Luka know these things before it gets to a do or die situation for your ball club. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's just kind of that's how I look at that, man. It's really really interesting to me. And then Luka, he fouled out with 4 minutes and 12 seconds left to go. I mean, some players foul out, with only a minute left or earlier in the fourth quarter, but 4 minutes and 12 seconds off of a blocking foul, if I'm not mistaken. When it was a blocking foul after Kyrie makes the shot to cut it within 1 point. That's not gonna look good for his legacy, depending on what happens, from this moment on. You know what I'm saying? That won't look good. The
Yeah,
placement, the placement of that foul could not have been more crucial, because if you ask me this question, would the game be different if Luka stays in for that next 4 minutes and 12 seconds? I don't think there's a 3 minute no scoring going on for Dallas. You know what I'm saying?
hmm,
Like, I'm sure there would have been a 2 point play, or, you know what I'm saying, a two or a three. Luka would have took a couple of them for sure. He was already doing that all game. So it's like, him. And then you alluded to something too, and you said he was smiling, going back. You didn't like his body posture after after that moment. I think that's I when I said earlier in part one to um he doesn't have any other choice. What I meant by that is, like, because he's losing, and he's not just losing, his team is getting spanked every single game. He can't be the same. He can be, but it it would look silly if he was trying to, like, have a aggressiveness to his nature. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would look silly in regard of, like, nobody, like, you're not scaring anybody with that. Like, yeah, you scared Minnesota when you're talking to the bench, you know what I'm saying, and when you're talking to their crowd and all that, but you're up in the series. Like, your team has a better matchup against them. You're doing that to Boston.
yeah,
Jaylen Brown's about to bark right back. He's not just about to bark right back, he's also got the lead. It almost looks like
yeah.
he's got your number. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you, Jaylen Brown's been looking quite impressive. You know what I mean?
Man, the whole playoffs, man. He's looked like the guy. Realistically,
Yeah,
he's looked like the guy.
yeah.
Literally, he's looked like the guy on that team.
And that leads me to question number two: is Jaylen Brown better than Jason Tatum? And what has Jaylen Brown's impact been this postseason?
I don't think he's better than Jason Tatum. I just think he has more dog in him than Jason Tatum.
Mm,
Right? So during the season, Tatum's probably going to outplay him. But the playoffs are a different beast.
yeah, yeah,
The
absolutely,
playoffs are a different beast.
absolutely.
And Brown, he man, this year he brought it.
Yeah,
He brought it.
yeah,
He brought it, man. You can't change that. You can't change that. He's been outplaying Tatum in these playoffs round by round. He's outplaying him right now in these finals. It's Brown's finals MVP. It's his. Honestly, bro, unless Tatum goes out there, puts up, like, I can't even say a 50 piece. He has to put up like a 64. Yeah, break Jordan's playoff record or something
Do you
to
remember
just be
when?
like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
To just take it over, take it from him.
yeah,
But they're not playing like that. They're playing like, hey, we gotta do what we gotta do. And I feel like people are underappreciating all that Tatum has been doing in these playoffs too.
yeah.
Because Tatum has definitely rebounded, assisting, you know what I'm saying, playing defense. Now, granted, so has Brown. But
Yeah,
Brown isn't he's not living and dying by that three. Hey,
that's
if I
true.
got it, I got it. If I don't, I don't. But I'm gonna get in that paint too.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially with these matchups. He don't see a problem with anybody on that court.
Facts,
With anybody on that court.
facts, facts.
You know. So they
It's
don't
it's
even have a guy
interesting.
to throw at. throw at those guys right now.
Yeah.
You know, I guess you could say PJ, but I mean PJ can't guard everybody.
No, the series is over. We're not talking about what Dallas can. There's nothing Dallas can do. There's nothing. Honestly, and the reason why my stomach hurt it yesterday while I was watching the game is because it's just not entertaining to see. Like Boston is playing a team game. It doesn't matter if Brown and Tatum combined for 61 points. They're still playing a team game. When it gets
Yeah,
tight for Dallas, and the problem was it normally would get tight for Dallas under 5 minutes left. And you want to see Kyrie and Luka take every shot. But it's getting tight for you guys in like quarter number 3, quarter number 2. And now all we're seeing is Boston versus Kyrie and Luka. Like I was tempted to honestly just say Boston defeated Kyrie and Luka, whatever the score was for each of these past 2 games. And it's sick to see. However, that's not the question. So getting back to Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, it's actually more even than people kind of see. Like it's kind of interesting, right? So Jaylen Brown has 24.3 points per game. Jason Tatum has 21.7 points per game, right? Now, and to your point, to your defense, what I would say is Jaylen Brown is doing a better job at like being on an island against certain players. Like I see him more so on that island than other players. 2 steals average for the entire series and 1 block. Pretty
hey,
good.
that's crucial.
Very, very crucial because a couple of those were against Kyrie.
Yeah,
However, the assist total goes to Jason Tatum at 7.3 assists to Jaylen Brown's 5.7. Rebounds, Jason Tatum, 8.7 to 6. Offensive rebounds, Tatum and Brown are dead even there. Free throw percentage, however, goes to Jason Tatum, and you kind of seen that in these games too. Like he's Jason Tatum when he gets to the free throw line, like he's actually making those, which doesn't seem like a big thing until you have game 2 where your team wins by 7 and you guys only missed 1 or 2 free throws, and Dallas missed 8 free throws. Awful. And then field goal percentage goes to Jaylen Brown, and that's why I believe he will get the Finals MVP. It's 55% to 35.9%. Like Tatum had a great game yesterday, but the past 2 games when he's had similar shots, he's missed them. Like he's
he's
missed them.
missing.
He's missed
Yeah,
them.
he hasn't been hot at all.
Not at all. And what I was alluding to earlier when I said, "Do you remember?" You remember when KD was there and they were going against Brown for that last year that KD was there? Not the last year, the year before KD's last year, and everybody was saying this is gonna be Curry's like Finals MVP. Like they're basically the Warriors are gonna let him do him so he can get that Finals MVP. And for games 1 and 2, it looked like Curry would get that Finals MVP. His point percentage was crazy. It was just crazy numbers. But then game 3, which was a crucial game, I believe Cleveland was back at home, and Curry has a terrible shooting game, and KD goes off for like 45 or something like that. And that was the Finals MVP moment. And that's why people argue and say Curry didn't get the Finals MVP for that year, even though he had better overall games than KD. I think yesterday, without having
Yeah, but when you think
Porzingis,
back to that series, what do you remember?
yeah, and that's what I was
You
saying.
remember that KD top of the key dagger on Brown.
Para, para. And that's why I think yesterday game not having Porzingis there, if Tatum then goes off and has a moment like that, then yeah, you get that he might be Finals MVP, but Jaylen Brown has
Him and
30
Brown
points.
picked up those points immediately. I mean, they both were in the 20s previously. No Porzingis, they both go in the 30s.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, they picked that slack up immediately. You know,
absolutely.
hey, Drew might give you 20 something. Drew, there was an over under. It said like Drew Holiday 24 points, something points. I wish I was a betting man. I would have took the
Yeah,
under. I would have took
yeah.
the under. I know Drew Holiday. That boy ain't about to give you that every night.
Yeah, but no, but and to credit to Boston's point, when we brought up Drew Holiday in the last video, man, when you really look at him game per game, he is the MVP to me of game 2. He knew in that moment. I believe it was like because that game was one of the closer games like throughout the entire game. It was one of the
Yeah.
closer games. He has 26, and you could see early on Boston's not getting in that rhythm. So every time it was a crucial shot they needed, Drew Holiday hits it. Who gets the steal on, I believe, Derrick Jones on Luka when Derrick Jones gets pressured and passes it back to Luka at the half court. Drew Holiday gets the steal when Luka tries to, swing it to I forgot who he was trying to pass it to. It might have been, I'm not sure. He was trying to pass it to somebody to get so they wouldn't get an 8-second violation. Drew Holiday gets a steal, then gets the 3 on that same possession after he gets the turnover. So it's like,
Man,
yeah, Drew Holiday's not going to give you that every game, but best believe champions, he's been there and he can sense those moments. And
yeah,
that's why,
it's
bro.
called winning plays. Drew Holiday makes winning
Yes.
plays.
Yes.
Winning plays. He's on the court 40-some minutes.
Yeah.
He makes winning plays.
Only
This
does
is
what's
point blank
necessary.
period. You know what I'm saying? Do you need more assists this game? Do you need more defense this game? Oh, you need me to shoot this game?
Yeah.
Even if you look back, when Drew was on Milwaukee and Giannis was down last year, it was just Drew and Middleton, and they were fighting. They were fighting, man. Drew was a really, really good guard. You know what I'm saying? I definitely played with him back in them early 2K days. You brought up the Pelicans, but I remember Drew when it was him, Evan Turner, Andre Iguodala. I remember that squad. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
He's been a guy. He's been a guy.
Facts. Yeah.
And I think at 35, he just got the 160 million up off Boston. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's gonna pan out, but you basically pay him to get you the ring this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the truth of the matter. You paid them for the ring this year.
Yeah.
And the way they set up, bro, they could be back. They could
Absolutely.
be back. I mean, the East, it's all things lining up. I mean, Giannis is looking a little injury prone as of late. Embiid's been injury prone. New York is still a player away.
Yeah.
Indiana's too young.
Wait.
Donovan Mitchell's going to leave Cleveland.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Unless Bron's about to go to Philly,
Yeah.
it's y'all's. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
It's y'all's. I will be honest though. I didn't expect them to win. Like, if you want to be honest, bro, when I looked at the Final Four on the West, I said any one of these teams could win the finals.
Yeah.
Anyone. Shea, Thunder, you can't count that out. Tim, you know what I'm saying? Timberwolves, you couldn't count them out. The Denver Nuggets, they was the defending champs.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, bro, when it's the playoffs, it's matchup based.
Facts.
Like if I'm playing a game, man, you know how we do. It's like, who are you picking?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that matters who I'm picking.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
If you go get Kobe and Shaq, I'm not getting Curry.
Yeah.
Personally, it's like ain't no big man for that. You're gonna be dogging me with Shaq all game.
Facts.
Nah, I'm straight. I'm about to go get, you know what I'm saying, somebody else that got a big.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go mimic your game. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So that I can beat it. At the end of the day, and it's just not a good matchup for Boston.
For Dallas.
Even with Milwaukee, I'm not Milwaukee, but Minnesota. Minnesota wasn't a good matchup for Dallas.
Facts.
But Minnesota they're literally built to beat Denver.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the hard thing right now. It's really hard to build a team to beat a team because there's no team that's like the Warriors right now.
And that's what the NBA wanted
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
you know
wanted it to feel
you had
exactly
the Warriors, it became the whole league damn near was building their team to beat the Warriors.
Facts.
Hey, we need shooters. We need, small fours. We need stretch fives. We need, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's like these niggas will go crazy on us
Facts.
time and time and time again if we don't address these.
Facts.
Oh, Denver, they're not like that.
No.
They're not like that. You know what I'm saying? Minnesota, they right there. You know what I'm saying? But Minnesota, as much as you want to say they're right there, you can say the Thunder are right there.
Yeah.
Shea, come on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I know Kawhi got to look at Paul George like, nigga, I should have kept Shea.
Yeah.
I should have kept Shea.
Yeah.
Like, you failing me. You failing me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, the West is still gonna be stacked. The East is still going to be weak, and
It's more likely
yeah,
that Boston will get back here next year than it is that the Mavericks will get back here next year.
definitely, because
Way more likely.
you got to think, man, on the West, a lot of these guys are going to progress,
They
you
have to.
know,
A lot of the
and if anything happens between a KD or a Curry or a LeBron,
yeah,
all y'all gonna just get lose,
yeah,
you
facts.
know. If,
Facts.
you know what I'm saying?
Wipe the board.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Like, so you got all that happening on the West, all of that. You know, there's teams that lost in round one that I thought could have been in the finals, like the Clippers.
yeah,
You know, there's
yeah,
in the East, man. Come on, let's keep it a buck. You gave Miami a shot off the love just because it's like, hey,
yeah.
how many times can you doubt a team? you
Facts,
know,
facts,
like
facts,
you don't
facts,
want to keep doubting them. You know,
facts.
so it's like clearly, Boston, and you got to think everybody's paid. Drew paid, Brown paid.
Yeah,
I think Derek White is paid.
yep,
Porzingis is paid. Tatum
yep,
about to get paid.
yeah,
I mean, I don't know where they finding the money, but they finding
yeah,
it.
yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah,
Like Tatum about to get that 350.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And by the time Luka come up, Luka gonna be getting like 400.
yeah. Facts, facts. Yeah, Dallas got some changes that they do need to make. Boston, however, I really do believe they could be back here next year, like easily, easily
So
almost.
I gotta ask you this. Was there another question you had?
It was how are the Celtics beating the Mavericks so easily, but we kind of touched that every time we touch
Right,
another
right.
question.
So I
Yeah.
gotta ask you this. Do you think Jason Kidd is the guy for the Mavs?
Absolutely, absolutely. I wouldn't give it to Jason Kidd. I think he's doing everything he can with what he has. You know what I mean? Like I honestly, to be completely honest with you, when you brought up the West Final Four, I didn't start rooting for the Mavericks until after Game 6 against OKC, and when they had finally won that. Because when I watched that game, I was like, man, like SGA, this is a guy. Like, unfortunately, Anthony Edwards, his team wasn't set up to put him in the same position that Shea was in, but Shea dropped 30. Like, and I watched the last 2 minutes. I'm like, no fear, no worry, no frazzle, just putting up points. And he made the what would have been the game winning shot against Dallas, and then he has the foul that sends PJ Washington to the line, and they close out the game after that. But up until that foul, and you could argue was that foul, whatever, whatever, because to me he got all ball, and then it went to his hands or his elbow. But I'm like, what? You're not calling that probably in this finals if the game was like that. You know what I mean? More
Yeah.
than likely. And to me, though, watching that, I'm like, SGA, like wow, like you're a guy. Um, but again, Jason Kidd, wins that game. They go up against the Timberwolves after that. I mean, I don't look at it like um, I don't look at it like I don't think it was as easy as people make it seem for Dallas to beat Minnesota. But coming after that game 7, they probably were just on a high a little bit, and lost that game 1 and 2 and got into a hole they couldn't see themselves getting out
Yeah,
of.
they were gassed. They
You know
were
what I
gassed.
mean?
At the end of the day, man, when you have a team that are built around two stars, at the end of
Yeah,
the day, the Timberwolves, in my opinion, they only lost because of Towns.
absolutely. And that's why I wouldn't.
I'm not putting that on no one else.
Yeah, and that's
You
why I
know,
wouldn't see them necessarily coming right back if they're going to keep
if
him as their number
Towns
two option.
doesn't shoot 5 for 50, in the first three
Facts,
games,
facts.
it's like that's you know what I'm saying.
That's their number
Because
two option. To remember that
the second Towns had a good game, you guys might perform with Dallas.
he's their number two option too. Remember that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So, and then like if you're not scoring, well, now we can throw Derek Jones and all these other guys constantly at you know Edwards, and
Yeah,
it is what it is.
yeah,
And Ant was gas. He was gas. You gotta remember he 22. He ain't never
yeah.
been this deep in the playoffs. He don't train.
Facts.
He ain't he ain't never trained to be this deep in the playoffs. You
Yeah,
know, so what I'm saying, he look a lot better now. He look a lot
facts.
better now. I'm sure he's gonna look a lot better next year. After training and preparing to go that far. You
Absolutely,
know,
absolutely. And that's why,
it's
like
like
you said,
Kobe had to miss those shots versus Utah.
Yeah,
Kobe had to have those playoff mistakes, before it started to click,
without a
you
doubt.
know.
Without
So
a doubt.
that's what I mean. Like, Dallas, like I said, I can see them getting back once over the next 3 to 4. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So you
yeah,
gotta capitalize on your moment, obviously.
right.
But, Boston, this could turn into, you know,
Yeah.
a run. It
Well,
could
their
turn into a
confidence will
run.
be
I'm not saying Boston's gonna win it every year. No way am I
no, but you
saying
got to
that.
remember it brings their confidence. Like Jason Tatum, he looks nervous right now, and a big part of that is not necessarily just because it's the finals, but it's because he's trying to get the monkey off his back by getting his first one. That's a big thing. They win this one
Yeah.
and bring the squad back next year, even if it's a couple pieces switched out or whatever, you're not gonna have nearly the same pressure on you as you would before. And you see that in this game now. That Boston knows that they're gonna defeat Dallas, one way or the other. Rather it's the next game or a series goes 6 or it goes 5 or they come back here Friday. Like they know they're gonna win that. And you can see it just in their confidence when they're taking shots that shouldn't normally go in. You know what I'm saying? Like against Minnesota,
Yeah.
yeah, when the shot clock's coming down and you're already down by 5 and it's been a tough game and you're trying to get this and get that, yeah, it's really easy that to see to miss that, three you gotta heave up. But in Boston's eyes, like, all right, Derek White's taking that three with shot clock running down. No pressure. Oh, it goes in. Great. You see their bench celebrating when their bench player makes a three. That's when I knew they knew it was over. Like
Yeah.
the series is over. It's when they got a bench player out there who they can celebrate for when he makes a three in an away game,
Yeah.
like already up 2-0. So that's kind of when I knew it was over. So yeah, to answer your question, man, no, I don't think Jason Kidd is the problem here. I think that Dallas, their biggest issue is what we already knew it was. You have Kyrie and Luka as your primary ball handlers, and that can get you very far. It can get you to the finals, but you need other options on the floor to make it a team game in order to win the finals. And I don't put that on Jason Kidd. If you ask me, it's kind of interesting to see in Joe Mazzulla. I said this in after game 2. Like coaching is a huge factor. Only because notice when Joe Mazzulla calls timeouts, it's so strategic, and they always come out right after that timeout with a 3 or 2, a nice play, a nice defensive stop, go up by whatever, score, continue to score after timeouts. They go down by 5, timeout. Looks like Dallas is cutting the lead back, timeout. Like it's very strategic in the way Joe Mazzulla is calling these timeouts. I believe Jason Kidd probably would do something similar if he had the opportunity to, but he doesn't. And they're still somehow in these games at the end of the game. Like if you really think about it, there's some of these games where it's like even in game 1 when they got cut it back to 8, I'm like scratching my head a little bit as I'm looking at the score. Like you guys are back. Like you guys are back with an 8. Oh, okay. Maybe it'll be the
Man,
game.
I stopped watching in that third. When you text me like this ain't fun to watch,
Yeah,
I was like, I immediately, I was working. You know what I'm saying? So I
yeah,
immediately like switched over to the game, and I'm like, man, damn! Like I watched the first half,
yeah,
and take a break. I'm working. Look back in the third, it's like, yeah, it's a wrap. You're down 20. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? And then
It's,
like I look back, like you didn't even say nothing. I just look back, and I'm like, whoa, 98, 93, like, hey,
man.
and then like I look back like 2 minutes later, and it's like, yeah, look,
Yeah,
they fouled out.
yeah. All
Like, come on, man.
right.
Moment got a little big for Luka, you know what I'm saying? But hey, I do want to, before we come to a close, I don't know what the time looking like,
Yeah, we have a few
but
minutes.
hey, I want to
Yeah. Oh,
hold on.
that's my guy, Terry Alexander.
Otaku,
Yeah,
Otaku, check out my man Otaku, man. He had a great interview with Terry, man.
yeah.
Check out Otaku if you in the anime. Secondly, I just want to say stay tuned. We're going to have some information coming soon
Oh,
about a
yeah.
basketball tournament hosted by Unwarranted out here in Michigan.
Yes,
It's going to be
sir.
a cash prize. We're going to have some food. We're going to have a great time. Your boy going to personally get up in them games too. You know, I don't know. Manny might not bless y'all, but he do get buckets. You
Man,
know,
man.
because I want everybody to stay tuned for that information coming soon. And the studio is down right now, but the studio will be back up soon. We'll have more interviews. more engaging conversations. We're gonna have a little more Zooms like this too, and hopefully we'll have some live. Probably towards football season.
Yeah,
Some live post game stuff. Especially around the Lions. We're gonna
facts.
have some live
Big facts.
post game stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Big facts.
And just much more to come. You
Yeah.
know, but yeah, man. I do wanna ask you one more thing, so
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
So tell me this, man, because we're just talking about basketball now.
Yeah.
What's one move for the last four teams on the West that you think could take them over the top?
Oh wow. That is a great question. That is a great question. You said for the last four teams in the
Yeah,
West. In the
in the
West.
West.
Um wow, that's a great question. I think
And
if
I and
it,
I'll briefly kick it off for you. I told you one. I say a Miles Turner or like a DeMar DeRozan on Dallas. I
yeah,
think
and I agree with
a,
that.
a Miles Turner or Miles Turner or like somebody along those kind of lines. Another big that can shoot, stretch the floor for Thunder.
Yeah.
Because I think Chet is a four. I'm not big on Chet at the five. I think Chet
Yeah.
will make a great depth lineup five. Like a lot, lineup you might
Facts.
run for a quarter or two, but
Yeah,
not the whole game. You know what I'm
I
saying?
agree.
I think that would change them. Minnesota. I'm gonna just be honest. I'm not big on a Rudy Gobert. I'm just not, and I don't
Yeah.
know what you can do with that now at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like you kind of just got him.
Yeah.
You can't because ain't nobody about to trade you for him. Let's keep it a buck.
Yeah.
I'm surprised y'all traded for him. you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like so that's just that. And then Denver, yeah, I think Denver discredited what Bruce Brown and those guys were on the bench. Jeff Green, Bruce Brown, like you could tell they missed that bench presence.
Yeah.
You know, I think they gotta make some adjustments. Like nobody for the starting lineup. I think you keep your starting lineup, but get another scorer, off the ball guy off the
Yeah.
bench. Like
Yeah.
Spencer Dinwiddie, you know what I'm saying? Somebody like that, somebody along those lines. Even with Dallas, a bench guy. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? A Dinwiddie, a Malik Monk. Not that I don't know if they can afford Malik Monk, but a guy along those lines.
You
You know
make
what I'm
some great
saying?
you make some great points. We're gonna touch it after game four. That's when we'll touch this conversation because that's like a good 10,
Yeah.
15 minutes easily. With that,
Yeah, think about it. Think about that.
yeah,
We could do the East too.